Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja on Channels Television. I am Kayla Megwa. We begin with a rundown of the major stories from Nigeria's seat of power.
President Muhammadu Buhari returned to the country after attending the 35th ordinary session of the Assembly of the Heads and Governments of African Union held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Before he left, he had a private meeting with the United Nations Deputy Secretary General, Mrs. Amina Mohammed. President Buhari has conferred the 2020-2021 Nigerian National Order of Merit Award on 3 Nigerians who have been exceptional in the field of science and technology. He gave them the honor at a ceremony in the State House.
Please endeavor at all times to serve as beacons of hope and aspirations for the younger generation of Nigerians, reminding them that our survival and collective future as a nation ultimately rests on our being active participants in global developmental efforts, especially in science and technology.
The president had 2 private visits at his official residence within the presidential villa. He received the former Minister of Defense, General Theophilus Danjuma. He also met with billionaire businessman Alhaji Mohammed Indimi. Stay within your limits and don't meddle in the internal politics of Nigeria. That's the advice the president gave the new diplomats posted to Nigeria. He gave the caution when he received the letters of credence from the ambassadors of Czech Republic, Italy, Spain, and Israel.
We are engaging in frank self-retrospection in order to identify and isolate appropriate containment strategies that can help de-escalate the drift into the unconstitutional seizure of power in the sub-region. Your Excellencies, you are assuming your diplomatic responsibilities in Nigeria at a very interesting political period, as Nigeria's national elections are due early 2023. As you settle down in the face of these developments, it is my hope that you will also be guided by diplomatic practice to ensure that your activities remain within the limits of your profession as you monitor the build-up to and the conduct of the general elections next year.
The president also received security briefing from Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State. Briefing State House correspondents after the meeting, Governor Zulum expressed confidence that, God willing, the challenge of Boko Haram insurgency will end under his tenure, which expires in 2023.
Under a closed door session, I've discussed a lot of issues on how the government of Borno State as well as the federal government will manage the ongoing surrender by the insurgents. As of now, we received nothing less than 30,000 from beginning to that. Honestly speaking, the way we are going, with the support of the federal government, with good management, Boko Haram will be over very soon.
The president says he will support the aspirations of credible and committed young people who are vying for positions in the February 26th National Convention of the All Progressives Congress. He gave the assurance while receiving members of the APC National Youth Lobby Group. Bringing the ethics of professionalism into the political landscape formed the core of conversations at the inaugural conference of the All Progressives Congress Professionals Forum. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, delivered the keynote address at the event.
If someone told me, for example, that the pilot who is to fly the plane that I'm to go in is not a very good pilot, but he's from Ikene, my hometown, I certainly won't go in that plane. So in the same way, we must especially refuse to be swayed by those whose sole argument for power is an appeal to sectional sentiments. We must resist it, and we must say no to it, because otherwise we fail in our professional calling.
Professor Oshibajo is calling for collaborations to help at-risk children to ensure they are fully protected from vices. He stated this at the first National Summit of the At-Risk Children Program.
In times of national emergency, The divisions between state, civil society, and the private sector are unhelpful. All sectors must make common cause because it's the right thing to do. In no effort is the old adage truer that it takes a village to raise a child than with vulnerable children. The fate of our most vulnerable children is a cause that should bring all of us in government, in civil society, in the private sector, together in a massive collaborative effort.
Ahead of the commencement of the 2022 tournament of the Nigeria University Games Association, the Vice President received the Games Touch of Unity and recalled the exploits of great athletes discovered at previous editions of the competition. The federal government has commenced a major investigation to unravel the cause of the unsafe quantity of methanol into the premium motor spirit imported into the country. The situation led to fuel queues in some parts of the country, including Abuja. The Minister of State for Petroleum, Mr. Timepre Silva, disclosed this during a media briefing after this week's Federal Executive Council meeting.
I'm not in a position to disclose the identities of the companies, but there are some issues and we are actively tackling it. Methanol, nobody has before now checked for methanol in our fuel. It's not very usual, and this is the first time this is happening, and NNPC is very much up to the task. But we are actively handling it, and I want to assure you that the problem will be a thing of the past. I don't expect you to rush to any conclusions. There will be a major investigation to unravel everything, and then let's really get to the bottom of it before we can come back and tell you what is going to happen to the culprits. We know that some people's vehicles must have also been damaged. That is also going to be taken into consideration in dealing with the situation.
Welcome back. If you come from a family of teachers, there are certain phrases you're used to hearing. One of them is poor remuneration. The other is strike actions. And in Abuja, primary school teachers are on strike. We look at the issues responsible for this industrial action: outstanding arrears and non-payment of the arrears of the new national minimum wage. Who's to blame? Who's toying with Nigeria's future again? Please watch this.
Pupils in local education authority primary schools across the Federal Capital Territory have not been attending classes as their teachers have been on strike since January 26, 2022. The teachers under the aegis of the FCT chapter of the Nigerian Union of Teachers are protesting the non-implementation of promotion arrears from 2014 to 2018, non-implementation of 2020 and 2021 annual increments, and upgrading of qualified teachers. The Teachers Union is also demanding the payment of the 2016, 2017 and 2018 promotion arrears to the secondary school teachers in the FCT. They also want the FCT to enhance the security situation in schools amid rising security threats.
There are a backlog of arrears that are being owed FCT teachers. As far back as 2014, they have been promoted. No implementation is not done, and as when due, you see somebody is promoted for 3, 4, 5 years. The promotion is not being implemented, and you have given the person letter with effect from a particular date. So we felt it is the rights of the teacher, and it's part of the salary if you look at it very well. Being that it's an arrears doesn't mean it's not part of the salary. Even though the government or FCT are trying, they pay the salary of teachers as and when due. But these arrears are there.
We talk about insecurity in Nigeria because it is when you have secured environment that teaching and learning can go as expected. So that is a big challenge because we have in some part of the countries where school students were kidnapped, teachers were kidnapped, we cannot go to school freely, we cannot discharge our duty very well. There are vacancies in our classrooms as a sort of retirement without replacement. So instead we have these things that are affecting us. We are calling on the government at that level to come in and employ more teachers so that the services can flow as it should be.
The payment of salaries of primary school teachers in the country is the responsibility of local governments or area councils in the case of the FCT. According to the FCT Universal Basic Education Board, the Abuja Municipal Area Council has 153 primary schools, Kuje Area Council has 104 primary schools, Kwali Area Council has 98 primary schools, Buhari Area Council has 90 primary schools, while Gwagwalada Area Council has 84 primary schools. Several attempts to resolve the issue have not yielded much result.
We are really, as teachers, not responsible. We are only asking for what belongs to us. What we are asking for is part of our salary. We have worked for it, and we've made ourselves available for discussion, not to taking us to where we are today. But because of no serious commitment from the key players, it has led us to where we are today. Pupils are at home as we speak. I want you to know that it is not the fault of the teacher. It is the fault of the government.
So that is it. Please, we are pleading on our area council chairman to listen to the plight of the teachers. The teachers of FCT, LEA are suffering. Minimum wage is what we are talking about.
The executive chairman of the FCT Universal Basic Education Board, Mr. Alhassan Sule, explains that the FCT administration is doing its best to resolve the impasse, insisting that all teachers under the payroll of the FCT administration have been paid up to date.
As of December, all FCT teachers that under the payroll of FCT administration were paid. They are not giving anybody a dime. But however, at the local government level, they were able to implement promotion areas. Now, they were able to implement promotions. But the issue of areas become a problem. And I could remember that NUT and the Algon agreed in December that the NUT suspend their strike based on the agreement that they are going to have a roundtable discussion on the template of how they are going to pay the arrears. And I think, owing to what the area council did by not inviting the NUT to a roundtable discussion, I think is one of the reasons that made them resume their suspended strike.
Whereas the unions have reached an understanding with the chairman of the Abuja Municipal Area Council for the payment of the arrears, which led to the suspension of the strike in Abuja city center, the remaining area council chairmen do not have such an agreement. Perhaps it's imperative for the FCT administration and indeed the federal government to attend to the issue.
My guest on the program is Professor Josiah Ajiboye, the Registrar of the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. He is grateful to the federal government for the recent incentives put in place for teachers, but he's upset about other things. According to him, the commercialization of education in Nigeria is a huge contributor to the decadence in our society. Any teacher not registered with the council, according to him, is not fit to teach any child in Nigeria. He also gives us an update on the striking teachers in the nation's capital. Professor Josiah Ajiboye, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
It's been a year since we spoke.
Oh, that's great. So you are counting dates,
Yes,
you know?
I'm counting the days.
Oh,
I
my
remember
God.
the last time we talked, it was at the time when they had harmonized the ages for teachers' retirement and there was a new salary scale.
Okay, the approval given by Mr. President.
Yes.
That was October 2020.
Yes.
Actually, the announcement was made precisely on the 5th of October 2020 by the Honorable Minister of Education, Malam Adamu Adamu.
Yes.
So it's been a nice time.
And you were very excited at the time. How has it been?
Oh, no.
Has it been implemented?
It's a good experience, you know. Let me say that, look, there are some, you know, when the approval was given in 2020, we have set the timelines for the implementation. Some we said will commence in 2021, and some are going to start in 2022. I have to report to Nigerians that actually the aspect of the age and the extension of service years, service year, that has been, we started implementation in 2021, January 2021. So it's been a good one. At least for teachers who were age 60 and education officers who were age 60 last year, they have been asked to continue on their job.
For the next 5 years?
Yes, for the next 5 years, because of the approval of Mr. President. So, we have started implementation for some of the aspects, and some we are commencing in this 2022, especially those ones that has to do with bursary allowance for students and teaching practices allowance for both students and their lecturers, and other support like rural housing scheme for teachers, science teachers allowance, or what you call difficult subject allowance for teachers, and other components of it. The implementation will commence in 2020. We are working out the details with regards to the implementation of those ones.
There were some conditions you gave for teachers to be able to enjoy these incentives.
No, definitely. Definitely. It's not going to be a loose thing. It's not going to be a loose thing.
So what are the conditions?
Yeah.
Just so you can refresh our memory.
Yeah, it's important that
because I know we're about to go into the private teaching
if you are
part
not,
of
if
this
you are
conversation.
Not a registered teacher, if you are not a registered teacher with the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, it's even stated in the, do you know, before they are giving the extension, there is a committee, a panel that you have to meet, and there are certain conditions that you have to, part of the condition that you have to satisfy, apart from health certificate and things like that, to say that you have still of sound man and you can continue for the next 5 years, you must be a registered teacher. You must show evidence of TRCN certificate, but not only the certificate, so also the license.
What
the
you're basically saying
license
to us is that they have to be members of the organization.
Oh yes, definitely you must be a registered teacher.
But we know that not all teachers are members of the organization.
You must be a registered teacher with the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. And if you are not yet registered, therefore you cannot, that means you cannot enjoy that.
But we have a lot of teachers, especially in the private sector, especially in private schools, who are not members of the organization. Why do you think this is?
No.
Why do you think they don't register with the organization?
That is the problem we are having. In the first instance, they are not even qualified to be teachers. A large number of them, I am saying this and I'm telling Nigerians this, a large number of those who are teaching in private schools are not teachers. They are just cheaters. Okay, because they are not qualified to be in the classroom in the first instance.
What made them unqualified to be in the classroom? If they read education, if they read education,
no,
in school,
if that's what I'm saying,
if they are qualified for it, and then they decided that look, a private school is going to pay me better than the government. These incentives, you said, it's a start. It's not the best practice yet. So a lot of teachers who want to be able to take care of their families and they want to be able to, meet these basic needs that they have, would probably go into the private sector.
Do you know what?
To do it.
I'm trying to.
Why would you exclude those people from something that could make them better?
You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that a large number, for example, let me give you precisely, specifically speaking, over 83% of teachers in public schools in Nigeria are well qualified and they are registered and licensed by TRCN. Okay? Over 83%.
That's the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. Just so people can understand that it's you're the registrar of that organization.
Yes.
So it's important for you that are there teachers in the private sector who are registered with the organization?
So about over 83% of teachers in public schools are qualified and are registered with teachers. But the same thing is not happening in the private sector. In the private schools, you have less than 40% of the teachers that are registered with TRCN. Do you know why?
Why?
Because they are not qualified to be teachers in the first instance. The fact that you have a degree in a cognate area without education, you are not qualified. If you have a degree in a cognate area, for example, you have BSc chemistry, you are not a teacher. For goodness sake, there's a difference between having the knowledge of the content and knowing how to present it to the learners. Okay? Somebody once argued, which one is more important? Is it what to teach or how to teach it? These people only have the knowledge of what to teach. They do not have the knowledge of how to teach it. That is what you call the pedagogical knowledge. They don't have it, and they don't have the pedagogical skills. Okay? And so they are not teachers, ab initio, in the first instance. So they are not registrable, even by TRCN.
I went to public school. But at the time, public schools were better than private schools. Now, there is that conversation, sir. You cannot pretend that this conversation doesn't happen.
No, it exists.
Where the private schools, where we're looking at the quality of private schools and quality from public schools.
Believe you
and
me.
A lot of cases, whether
that
it is in the secondary schools or in universities or primary schools, a lot of parents who are listening to you right now will tell you that I will not put my child in a public school.
Well, it's about mentality.
It's about mentality. It's about the reality of the classrooms.
Look at the children who are making
the quality of the education is not not the same,
Let me tell
sir.
you the truth. Go and check results of those who are leaving public schools. Our public schools are back on ground, and the teachers there are well qualified. Okay? It's about mentality. It's about class system. It's about class thing. People want to show class. You have arrived, and that's why you could put your children in private schools. Look, if not this thing, look, the teachers that are, a large number of those who are teaching, you have school certificate holders teaching in these private schools. For goodness sake.
But it's not all.
No,
it's not all.
No, I'm telling you.
I know it's a good number, but it's not all.
You can never get that in a public school. Hey, please, my friend, give me a break. You can never get that in a public school. You have those who are well qualified teaching in the pub. The only thing you may say that is missing is about monitoring and supervision. That is the only thing perhaps that is missing. Okay? And we have been encouraging our state governments and including the FCT that what we need to put in place is monitoring mechanisms. Okay? If we have effective monitoring mechanisms in our public schools, we'll begin to see better results. If you check those who are making the best results in WAEC, the best results in all these things, you will see that they are from public schools.
Strikes. Teachers in the FCT are on strike right now, sir. As a parent, I wouldn't want my child to go to a school where the teachers can go on strike. I want my children to be able to go to school and graduate with their mates. But students in the FCT, in the public schools in the FCT right now, are having to deal with the fact that teachers are on strike, sir.
Look, we know that the FCT minister is going to attend to this issue and is going to make sure that as soon as possible, our children actually return to the classroom. And believe you me, the teachers are going to cover all the areas where they have left. You are going to start from where you have left. Okay? So, don't be afraid.
But the children,
if you have your children,
will be behind their mates in private schools.
That's what I'm telling you. If you have your children there, they are not going to be behind at all. It's like double, when they come back, it's like double job. You will start from where you stopped. Okay? Nobody is going to cut short your number of weeks for the term. You are going to still do the same number of weeks for the term. And I can assure the parents that their children will get quality education.
Well, Prof, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much, Professor, for being with us on Dateline Abuja today.
To be on your program. Thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Thanks to Professor Josiah Ajiboye and to everyone who spoke to us on the program. When it comes to Nigeria's education sector, action speaks so much louder than words. Nigeria's 17 trillion naira budget for 2022 allocates just 7.2% to education. It's a step forward from the allocation of 5.7% in 2021, but there's still a long way to go before it reaches the internationally recommended benchmark of 15 to 20%. If that's the action from the federal level, imagine how much is being ignored at the local levels, which is why primary school teachers in Abuja's area councils are on strike. Isn't it obvious that our actions and inactions in the education sector are bearing the fruits we see around us today? The situation could get worse, so much worse, if we continue at this pace. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Magwa. See you next time.